Sverige har aldrig förr liknande. Inget annat land i Europa ser något liknande.
This is how immigrants can turn one of the most peaceful countries into a place of burning hell.
This is an example of how deadly gang life can be. Here gangsters chase down their rivals, shooting numerous bullets into the car. This time, the victims survived. But Adam knows drug turf wars and jealousy can turn friends into enemies.
In 2013, Sweden was ranked the 13th most peaceful country in the world. But 9 years later, the sudden influx of foreign individuals and rising crime rate made Sweden become one of the highest gun death rates per capita of any European country. It's now second only to Albania, where compared with other European countries with populations of at least 1 million, having been in 14th place in 2010.
And recruiting a hitman can be as easy as posting an online. In autumn, the government triggered emergency measures including military support for the police.
Go! Mate! Go!
The circumstances in Sweden have reached so far that even teenagers are now ready to kill anyone of their choice for $100,000.
But now the prices are so low that everyone kills. So now it's 100,000 krona for one person.
Spiraling in 2022, giving Sweden the highest gun murder rate in the EU. More than 360 gang-related shootings were recorded in 2023, 53 of them fatal.
As a result, Sweden's government is now offering $34,000 to immigrants so they can go back where they came from.
The Swedish government is offering to pay immigrants $34,000 if they go back to their home country.
So what happened to a country that was once ranked second in terms of quality in life and safety worldwide? And how's the Swedish government fighting one of the biggest crises in history? Before we tell you about that, please help us out by clicking subscribe so we can finally reach 1,000. We're so close. So, if we rewind back to the 1900s, it's surprising to notice that Sweden had only 0.7% of foreign-born individuals, with only 79 of them from Africa. However, by 2010, this number suddenly increased to more than 14% of the entire Swedish population, with 1.3 million people being foreign-born. Now, it's not that Sweden has been extremely restrictive to foreign individuals like Poland, who's now built a 186-kilometer wall against migrants.
The winter months at the border with Belarus was the first sign of Russia's intentions to stage a war.
Since the end of the World War, you can clearly see that Sweden's been open to immigrants for decades. Because of this, it stood as the perfect choice for refugees. And from 1990 to 2016, Sweden and other Scandinavian nations witnessed positive population growth, and immigration contributed to almost 15% of the major development of the region. But the actual reason behind this enormous jump in the 2010s was this. If you look at the blue line in this graph, you'll notice that the fertility rate in Sweden was the highest in the 1990s. But since then, it's significantly gone down. The same has happened with other Scandinavian countries, which are now suffering from one of the lowest fertility rates. With Denmark at 1.55, Sweden at 1.55, Norway at 1.41, and Finland at 1.32. If you didn't know this before, a 2.1 fertility rate is needed to maintain the population of a country. Scandinavian countries open their doors to outsiders with the hope of maintaining their future existence and to grow the economy. Furthermore, with the sudden rise of deadly wars in the Middle East region, such as the Syrian war and the Yemen crisis, Europe was pressured to accommodate millions of asylum seekers headed their way.
His name is Aylan Kurdi. His family's dream ended on a beach in Turkey. It's believed that.
However, they failed to realize that among these migrants seeking refuge in their country, there are those who forced them to come this far.
Before catching up with the teenager, who's now serving 4 years in jail for attempted murder.
And how many young people are you?
A majority.
Gangs deliberately choose teens as they get shorter sentences.
The pink color in this graph shows that the majority of immigrants in Sweden came from the Middle East and North Africa region. Here's another piece of data that shows that Sweden ranks #1 in terms of asylum applications, and the majority of them came from Syria, Afghanistan, and Iraq. Now, these regions are consistently hit with terrorist activities, due to which thousands of those terrorists shadowed themselves under asylum seekers. As a result, by 2016, narcotic offenses in Sweden were slowly dipping to their lowest level, but in the coming years, they skyrocketed like never before. At the same time, gun deaths on the left side were also declining. Nonetheless, the rise of asylum seekers pushed gun deaths to one of the highest levels, even making Sweden among the second highest gun deaths in all of Europe. The government of Sweden also published a report suggesting that people born abroad are 2.5 times more likely to be registered as crime suspects than people born with two native parents. If we consider the people born to two immigrant parents, the percentage goes up to 3%. Already frowned upon laws and the government not taking concrete steps gave rise to criminal gangs. These criminal activities received a boost as several illegal immigrants, mostly youngsters set aside due to unemployment and overcrowded refugee settlements, joined these gangs to make ends meet. The red line in this graph shows that the majority of the suspects identified by police for deadly assault are between the ages of 15 to 20 years. Now, initially, the gangs operated on local levels and were merely involved in petty crimes like stealing from general stores or robbing a gas station. But with growing immigration, the gangs started getting powerful. The countries that were honored as one of the safest in the world became houses for regular street crimes. The situation became worse when in an interview, an ex-gangster revealed that the gang charged around 50,000 Swedish kronor or $4,900 to shoot someone in the feet, and around 100,000 kronor to kill someone. As the gang wars in the region have been on the rise, several pieces of research correlated the rise in crime in Scandinavian regions to the rising number of immigrants.
الآن سأشعل سيجارتي بهذا القرآن.
Which fueled the right-wing protests against immigrants. To discourage Middle Eastern refugees from coming to Europe, Sweden became one of the rarest countries to allow the burning of the Quran in public, a sacred religious text of Islam. They even kidnapped their children after birth.
بعد عمره 5 دقائق تم سحبه من المشفى بهذا المبنى. يا أولادي أنا السبب اللي جبتكم على هاي البلد. أنا السبب.
Surprisingly, in 2019, Scandinavia had almost 3.6 million first-generation immigrants. At the same time, they had 1 million second-generation immigrants, of the overall population of 27.24 million, which makes up around 16.9% of the total population of the region. And as their population grew 49% last year, the Nordic region started to feel the wrecks of gang war. In consequence, anti-immigrant violence in the form of masked men was on the substantial rise. The rise in the refugee population led to disagreements between locals and refugees. The right-wing leaders protested this uncensored intake of refugees and also pushed the centrist government to put a stop to it, but nothing changed. This, in return, fueled and created a major immigrant local rivalry, as locals feared the immigrants who were already enjoying government benefits might take up their jobs. However, the unexpected increase in violence is not the sole reason to put out stricter measures around their border. One major factor that is generally overlooked is the overuse of resources. Due to the socialist economic structure of the Scandinavian countries, the government deficit is spent on several government welfare schemes. At the same time, the government also is to spend on building, maintaining, and developing the refugee areas. Specifically, the monetary support for children up to 16, which is covered under Sweden's welfare scheme, or housing allowances or benefits for the unemployed, and much more. So, with the increase in immigration, the financial burden on the government authorities takes a steep rise. This not only burdens the taxpayers, but has also been declining their economy since 2021. Eventually resulting in massive unrest among the citizens of the region and convincing Sweden to close their border for the immigrants.
We cannot continue a situation where people without permits simply travel through Europe and to countries and live under circumstances that are not acceptable.
So what are your views on Sweden's crisis? Do you think they should allow asylum seekers to stay as long as they want? Let us know in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and press the like button if you like this video. Thank you so much for watching.